Today, Joe Biden is breaking a lot of records. They're just not the records that you actually want to break. Also, the January 6 hearings were just as insufferable as you'd think that they were. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Happy Friday. We've got BlazeTV contributors, both Jaco Booyens, host of The Bottom Line, and Alex Stein, host of Conspiracy Castle, in the building. It should be a fun one today. So, it feels like we are constantly talking about the cost of everything rising. We're talking about gas prices. What was it for the first time in history? The average price of gas is over $5. Everything's going great. Don't you feel it?
Hey, Joe says we have more savings now than ever before. Since 2013, some arbitrary number he just picked, but he says we've got a lot of Americans doing well financially. They love it.
Yeah, he said the economy is his best ever yesterday. So I don't know where he's looking.
Yeah, but I like his judgment on the biracial commercials. I think that was the best. When he was with Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, there's no sharper tack than Joe Biden.
It's true, and he continues to prove it.
Like a whip, he's just so smart.
So the consumer price index increased 8.6% from a year earlier in very broad-based advances, of course, according to the Labor Department data that was just presented earlier this morning. The widely followed inflation gauge rose 1% from a month earlier. This, of course, topped all of the estimates, which is what Joe Biden continues to do. Even the people over at, MSNBC, CNN, CNBC, they're constantly, as they're getting these reports, they come out and they're like, oh, well, this is way worse than we thought. Well, there were not as many jobs as we thought were created. Oh, well, this is actually, we already predicted that it was not going to be good. It's actually worse than that. And admitting that on air, that's absolutely how bad it is. Yeah. So, look, we've got record gas prices. We've got record grocery store bills. This, I think, is the most offensive thing that I heard. Sriracha may be out of stock because all of the manufacturers cannot find the chili peppers to be able to produce. We have a president who is not allowing us hot sauce.
Wait, Sarah, you haven't heard about the Tampax shortage?
No.
This is a fact. Look at right now, we have a huge Tampax. We don't even have enough tampons for myself and these other ladies.
Yeah, because you definitely
I use them. I hoard them.
Alex, if you need tampons, you need to go to the doctor.
Listen, when a non-married man knows that there's a tampon shortage, Stein.
Stop
hanging out with the guys you're hanging out with. Come hang out with me.
I'm hanging out with a few ladies as well. I'm just saying, this is what's going on. We live in Joe Biden's America where women do not even have health care products. I mean,
that is true. But the society is crumbling as you know it. It's imploding from the inside, and this just shows you, Sarah, to your point, and Alex's point, in all seriousness about the tampons.
This is true.
In all seriousness about the tampons.
Pull it up.
It's not a quote I thought I'd hear on my show today.
In all seriousness about the tampons. We are seeing now the ripple effect of when you have bad policy, and it's the same thing at the border, and I say this all the time to people. They go, the border, the wall, the wall. A wall with no policy backing the wall up is zero. You can climb a 400-foot wall if you want to.
Dig a tunnel.
Exactly. Yeah. The policies are just not there to protect America. The policies are there to implode this country down to the point where I don't eat sriracha. I don't get it, but you do.
I love sriracha.
Right?
It's delicious.
I love sriracha.
No, you're spoiling a steak. Cook the steak. Cook the steak
How about
properly.
Eggs?
Regardless,
eggs.
This isn't a sriracha story. This is a shortage story, and so it's like they dink and dunk us. Oh, they're out of sriracha. Oh, they're out of tampons.
It is the system that's imploding.
Yeah.
I mean,
the system is imploding. For all of it. And now it's a serious issue. Come on, let's be real. We're making fun of the tampon thing, but
do you think they have tampons at the border?
Yeah, lots.
All free.
What are you talking about? It's probably all hoarded up in a warehouse.
Yeah. It's real. I'm laughing so I don't cry.
We're going to be flying in tampons from Germany, so don't worry. That's going to be Joe Biden's go. We got these German tampons.
Well, I mean, but to your point, I know that you're joking, but to your point, this is what they do. They warn. They're already warning about these food shortages. We've got the baby food, the baby formula shortage. all of it's manufactured, but like they put us in a position where as a first world country, we're out of these things that we shouldn't be out of. And then when they do things like fly it in from Germany, they go, well, we're here to save the day, guys.
Exactly.
We're here to help you.
Look,
and it's like, what are you talking about? You're the ones who just put us in this mess.
This is not a story, so please, producers, don't go get mad at me. But I just want to throw something your way real quick. I was just with, a gubernatorial candidate in Illinois, attorney general there. They just passed a bill in Illinois, okay? The most egregious bills, where they're now moving farmers, where the state owns a bank and you can only get debt from the state's bank.
Wow.
Okay, but they're taking certain rights away from farmers and moving it towards. Look, we're looking at a super state, and I'm going to hammer this. The president of Mexico will be with Joe Biden on the 14th in the White House, and he said this, and he's proposing to Joe Biden the American super state, removing the border permanently, making Mexico a part of America. Hello, Texas, we're in between.
Yeah.
Load them up.
Yeah. So, we're talking about all this. I guess it shouldn't come as a shock to anyone that there was a recent Real Clear Politics poll that showed 71% of Americans said America is on the wrong track. This is compared to 22% who said that they were on the right track. And this is the highest that it has been since October 2013. I can't imagine why they would be voting that way. Maybe it has something to do with what's going on in Michigan, which is gas prices have become so high that one Michigan police department, this is Isabella County Sheriff's Office, they said that they've already blown through their fuel budget for the year, so they cannot respond to all 911 calls in person. So good luck to you if you call 911. You have to state your case and convince them that your emergency call is emergency enough for them to respond in person.
So if you can't defund the police, you just make them run out of gas.
You bankrupt them,
You just bankrupt them.
I mean, did you ever, how embarrassing is this? As what's supposed to be the greatest country in the entire world, we have a police department that is oh, yeah, we're not going to be able to make that 911 call because of gas.
Can you imagine a meeting this morning with the police chief say, okay, guys, Alex, you and your partner, you got 40 miles for the day. Use it wisely.
Well, we can joke and be all jokey.
Yeah, but it's a big issue, man.
And, it's just another way for them to be like, oh, we need electric vehicles because we don't have enough gas. And it's just some sort of stupid, obfuscation. I can't say that word. I'm just saying we can't see the forest for the tree in front of our face. You know what I mean? And it's really scary what's happening.
Did you see the clip with the correct me if I'm wrong, was it Chevrolet woman CEO, who launched a new electric car?
Yeah, and the factories run on coal.
And the factory is running on coal.
Of course.
Coal.
Yeah.
Right.
And she goes deer in headlights. She goes, oh yeah, our power source. I mean, it's the hypocrisy is, to Alex's point, it's so thick. Stop buying. I always say this. In South Africa, we always say the ice cream man's the bad guy, like clowns in America. They're the pedophiles, right? Yes, I did say it. If you're a clown, get another job. Okay? Right now, it's the government.
We might have a lot of clowns out there that are really offended.
Be offended.
Well, to your point, though, it's George Carlin, a lot of comedians, they talk about the American dream, is you can only see it. I think it's Bill Hicks, if you're asleep. But my point being, it's in this day and age, really and truly, the world is just collapsing right in front of our eyes, and they just want us to constantly consume bullcrap media, to distract us. Nobody's paying attention. I would think if you even ask most people, who is Karine Jean-Pierre, or who's the press secretary, nobody knows. Who's Kamala Harris? Nobody even knows anything, the basic stuff about what's going on in the world. So the fact that these shortages are happening, they're not going to know until it's too late, and that's what the scariest part of it is.
We made that point yesterday on the show with July. I think it was July, right? We talked about
it was TJ Moe.
Oh, it was TJ. That's right. Sorry, it was Eric earlier. If you approach the police today, know the law. If you approach anybody today, know the law. Well, they don't. To your point, Alex, they don't even know their constituents. They don't even know who their representatives are. Most Americans can't tell you who's representing them in their county.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you said, Alex, which is that this is all on purpose. You were referring to the gas prices, but I can't think of one single crisis that we've had since Joe Biden has come into office, and there have been a lot. I can't think of one that has not been completely manufactured. Can you? There's not one that hasn't been specifically because they're printing a bunch of money that they can't back up, that now all of a sudden we're going by, modern monetary policy. They're obviously shutting down. I mean, He was bragging about reversing all of the Trump era policies the day he got into office. He shut down the pipeline. He's preventing all of these oil and gas companies from being able to provide us oil and gas. We were energy independent. Now, obviously, we're not. It's like they're doing these things intentionally. I can't think of one single thing that hasn't been. I mean, I guess you could say the war in Ukraine made some of these things worse. Particularly gas,
I'm gonna go tinfoil. I'm gonna go big tinfoil on you and tell you this administration is complicit in the manufacturing process of the war in the Ukraine. There's a lot of assets the Obamas own in the Ukraine, and even the Bushes that are being protected at the White House. Nancy Pelosi.
What are you talking about? Have you mentioned Hunter Biden and all of his businesses?
Of course,
come on.
Of course.
I mean, that's the elephant in the room.
It's all to your point, it's all manufactured. Heck, COVID was manufactured. That's Yaku saying it's all manufactured. Yeah. This is an attack on the American way of living. It's really an attack on the world because we're the last bastion as a country. Who else? Come on. You know my position with Israel. I defend Israel tooth and nail. Half my family is Jewish. There's no other nation by God that will stand with Israel. They have to topple the American way of life in order to have their new world order, superpower, whatever. It can't coexist.
That's 100% right. That's a globalization. That's why America has to be the biggest domino to fall to make all the rest of the dominoes fall. And then, I was reading, I think it was Washington Post and New York Times talking about the prices of trailer parks now. The rent in trailer parks is skyrocketing. Yep. So the lowest rent in America, people can't even afford this.
We will lose the middle class in this country.
There is no middle class.
It will be decimated completely.
And then, I mean, you'd like to think that the midterms will provide maybe some relief in, some switching, but then it's like, have we done anything to make sure that our elections are secure? So
they're the most secure elections ever, but we got to get to the globalization point because then we have guys like Dan Crenshaw and Ted Cruz and Abbott. These guys are globalists, These guys don't really care. They're not America first. They don't really care about us, being a strong country. They actually, like you said, they want to weaken us.
Abbott for sure. Dan for sure. Ted, I don't think so, but
he did go to Cancun when all the power went out in Houston. That was
a really bad look.
That was bad.
It wasn't a good look, but I think it was just bad timing. But on the global issue, though, to your point, yes, it is manufactured, yes, it's orchestrated, but still, it takes a complicit society.
Of course, but everybody's too stupid to know what's going on.
It still takes a complicit society, because I don't care what you say. We've got the greatest military. We've got more armed people in the state of Texas than the U.S. military. We are still, as the American people, the greatest force for good on planet Earth. And the only thing needed for evil to exist is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah. All right. I want to, let's take a quick break and then we come back. Let's talk about the January 6th here. The big production, the big, highly produced primetime saga that you, I'm sure, tuned in to hear every word. Or not. We'll get to that after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Bonner Wine. So, look, you guys know I'm the wino of the building, but I'm also the health nut of the building. So you're wondering, how do those two things mesh? Well, here's the thing. Most of these wines that you're buying at the grocery store, they've got oak flavoring, they've got purple dye, they've got a bunch of different sugars, and that's not counting all the chemicals left over from vineyards that look more like oil refineries than the great chateaus of old. So you've got to get a better wine. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg because you don't need to go to the grocery store. Go directly to Bonner. They have these grapes grown at really high altitudes. It produces a wonderful wine, and it's not going to have all the chemicals and all the dyes and all of that. So you can say it's healthy. Tell them Sarah Gonzalez says, I'm drinking this wine for my health. That's all you need to do. All right. You don't need a promo code. You'll get 50% off of the shipping, 50% off of the wine over at bonnerprivatewines.com/Y. That is bonnerprivatewines.com/Y. The January 6th hearing, the big production that I don't think anyone tuned in for. It took Representative Benny Thompson, only minutes to start invoking all of the little keywords: slavery, Ku Klux Klan, lynching, and all of these, words that they want to associate with anyone who has ever voted for President Trump in their entire lives, I guess. Let's listen to some of this.
I'm from a part of the country where people justify the actions of slavery, the Ku Klux Klan, and lynching. I'm reminded of that dark history as I hear voices today try and justify the actions of the insurrectionists on January 6th.
Yeah, that's a pretty.
So convenient to fall back on that card. I've heard, you've heard. That's right, you've heard. I mean,
That's
brother,
a pretty bad, really bad. Like that's a stretch, a really, really large stretch. Yeah.
bungee cord.
Yeah. So I wanna get your thoughts on this big production and whether or not you guys think that the American people are even worried about it at all. But I also want to play for you Liz Cheney, who is just absolutely a horrible person, can I say. She attempted to highlight Trump's blame in the matter, what she says is Trump's blame in the matter, by reading one of his tweets from that day. Curiously enough, she left out the part at the end where he called for peace, even though the tweet was right on the screen behind her. Watch.
Donald Trump tweeted, but he did not condemn the attack. Instead, he justified it. These are the things and events that happen, he said, when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from great patriots who've been badly and unfairly treated for so long. As you will see in the hearings to come, President Trump believed his supporters at the Capitol, and I quote,
you didn't finish.
"We're doing what they should be doing."
Lizzie, you didn't finish. He said, go home with love and peace, which I feel like is a pretty big...
Yeah, but that blows up their whole case. But they'll put it on the screen.
Was like, why are you putting it on the screen if you're not going to read it? You're literally showing your entire hand.
Yeah, and we're talking about Liz Cheney, whose dad was Dick Cheney, who killed 1 million Iraqis for what? For weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. So, you know, lying is in her DNA. And then Benny Thompson, of course, you know, he's just up there pandering for sympathy from people that are like low IQ. Oh, this is based in slavery, which has nothing to do with it. But I think one of the best parts of this whole thing, because I watched basically the whole thing. And
you did?
Yeah, well, they were talking to the documentarian that was following around Enrique Torres and the Proud Boys. And they were kind of talking about their day, and they said, oh, well, it was a crazy day. And then at one point, we left, and we were staying at, the way the guy described it, a hotel that was a little less than the standard they'd want, and that they went and got tacos. They went and had tacos during an insurrection. They're talking about, this is like comparing this to 9/11, and they're talking about the documentarian that is talking about the Proud Boys that were so bad that they were able to leave and go have tacos during this thing. So it's just a very, you know, manufactured
Yeah, but if you look at who they look at who they hired to produce the thing, okay? So then you know this is a sham.
Remind everyone.
Yeah, look, the same guy that literally had smoking gun evidence, a leader of a network, and hid everything on Epstein, and would not let the network, Goldstein would not let the network release evidence on Epstein, evidence on child abuse. That's the guy, Goldstein, that they hired to produce this beautiful piece of Hollywood wizardry.
And it's really not done very well. Like, you can tell it went viral, Benny Johnson showing how they're reading from teleprompters, which, I mean, you read a teleprompter sometimes. That's not that crazy. But it just shows you how contrived everything is, it's all fake. And then also, when they show the footage, like, it's cut so out of context. Like, if you see a guy, swinging a pole into a guard shield, yeah, it looks kind of bad. But really, if you look at the person that died, it was Ashley Babbitt, was shot. I mean, not a lot of people that say, oh, 5 people died. I'm telling you, this was not as bad as 9/11. I was a young kid during 9/11. I remember seeing the towers fall down. And they compare it like that all the time. Makes me sick. Yes.
9/11. Come on. I mean, I walked down there.
Yeah, it's
people
not even
died.
close.
People jumped out of buildings because this isn't non-comparison.
But they compare it all the time. That is their talking point. It makes me sick. I mean, the riots that we had, the whole George Floyd riots, all summer, our entire country was on fire, and you had people paying bail bond fees to get these criminals out of jail. Kamala Harris is one of the biggest supporters of this.
Look, every word in this swear jar that I don't say is what I'm pouring out on Joe Biden's head and on all these people. They're lying SOBs.
Well, just
every word.
Just to prove your point, both of you, your point, they certified the election. They went on to certify the election 3 hours later. That's how horrible it was.
So
that
bad.
They were right back to business as usual several hours later. So it only delayed them a couple hours.
And I want to make this point. When you see the people, the blue check marks of the people on the left, they have to pretend in their mind that the United States government was actually going to be overthrown that day.
Yeah.
Like they had to be like, oh, well, we were going to lose our republic. Yeah, right. That was never going to happen.
No.
We are never going to lose our autonomy as a nation. That is a lie. So these people that are just pearl clutching, oh, we almost lost our country. They're just full of it. They're, victimhood. They're a victim. They want to play the victim, which is a problem in society.
Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you this.
Yeah.
I mean, if these people were planning a big insurrection and they were going to overthrow the government and they knew that Capitol Police were going to be there and all of these other things, why didn't they bring guns?
Yeah. And
See, it seems like the side with all the guns probably would bring them if that's what they were planning to do.
Yeah, and you got to break for tacos now. Come on.
Yeah,
you
they got
gotta
to
take a breather.
And then on top of this, Nancy Pelosi was told that they should have 10,000 more armed security, and she said no.
Yeah.
No, Donald Trump.
It was the one that asked her.
Donald Trump offered National Guard security.
4 days before.
And they said, no, thank
That's
you.
an accident. That's just a coincidence.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Come on.
Again, manufactured crises from the left. Speaking of manufactured, I want to play AOC, good friend of the program, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was so upset that she decided to do an Instagram Live to discuss how angry she was at having to relive all of the footage. Watch.
I don't even know how long I'm going to be on live because I'm so angry.
She's so angry. She just had to go live.
Livid.
Look at that.
Having to relive that footage.
With a slight smile on your face, I notice.
And I know that it's not just me. This is everyone. And again, I don't even know how long I'm going to be on live right now because
You already said that, but you're
I'm
still
just
on.
angry. And I know that it's not just
Doesn't
me.
she?
It's not about any one of us as individuals. This is about what happened to our country. And there is such a concerted right-wing operation
there's the
to try to
buzzwords.
convince everybody that this didn't happen, that it wasn't a big deal. This was an attempted coup of the United States of America.
Oh my
there we
gosh.
go.
Oh,
Wow.
you know what? I'm angry too. I'm angry at the freaking gas prices and my grocery store bill and all of the other crap that you guys have caused. And by the way, you weren't even in the damn building.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. She's saying she relived it. It's the first time you've seen it because you weren't there. You were not outside. You were in another building. For anybody who's ever been there, no. You actually walk from building to building underground. Okay,
Right.
You travel from the Senate to the House underground. That chica was literally 4 blocks away.
She was in a whole other building. And afterwards, remember, she claimed that she was worried that she was going to be raped,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense because no one was raping anyone. And also, she wasn't in the damn building.
Well, and in her documentary that, AOC was casted for her role in this whole, political theater.
You mean
play.
like Zelensky?
Basically,
Yeah.
she really was. I
Yeah.
mean, if you watch her documentary, they did a, casting call for looking
Yeah.
who to run in her district, basically, and she was the one that, got the support of the high, powerful people that got her in her position. So she is, for lack of a better word, she's an actress, and she didn't even do a good job acting there because she wasn't really
Terrible
scared.
job.
I guarantee you, if her husband walked in, with booze and a prostitute, she would be way more mad. I'm just saying, there's so many more other situations.
her
boyfriend, whoever he is, if he, she would have caught him
Fiancé,
cheating.
I think.
Fiance, if she would have caught that
Remember
guy
the
cheating,
guy
she would
that
have been
all
way
women
different.
wants to date? Remember?
Everybody wants to date him.
She's
because
got the
he has
hottest
weird feet.
guy. He's got
they're-
weird feet.
yeah.
And yes. No. She
just
qualified
went
by.
He had, that's what they were talking
Yeah,
about, his
yeah.
weird sandals or something. Yeah, that was very
that's
weird.
right, that's
yeah,
right,
him
that's
and
She
right.
qualified for the role by being psychotic. She's not even an actress. You can't even glorify her by calling her an actress.
I mean, I
okay?
think she is an actress. She's just not a good one.
But I say this,
I
and I
would
get
say.
killed. I do think she's hot, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah,
You've said that before.
I do think she's hot. I
What?
like her
Weird.
big eyes. I don't know. She's hot. I mean,
Can I just want to posit a theory because I have a theory on this.
Here's Sarah Gonzalez for
I
crying
think
out loud.
Sarah's beautiful, more beautiful, but I'm just saying she's beautiful too. There could be two beautiful people.
But I think that men find her attractive because the bar is so low in Congress. Who else are they going to find attractive?
Nancy Pelosi.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's Nancy Pelosi or AOC, and you got to pick someone. You're like, yeah, I mean, I guess she's cute.
I like Cinema wears the low tops from Arizona, so I like that. She shows the breasts.
Well, I feel like this is a great time to go to break. We want to thank our sponsor.
You're
this
at the
segment,
table with me.
iTarget
Okay.
Pro. And listen, now more than ever, you have to be prepared and properly trained to defend yourself and your family. We just recently got a new P365, and you got to get the iTarget Pro. The bullet, they have these laser bullets that they have for all different calibers. So whatever firearm you purchase, when you get a new one, make sure that you are training at home with iTarget Pro. You don't have to go to the range to practice, which is going to save you a ton of money on both ammunition and range fees. So this little device is going to pay for itself, and it's going to help you make sure that you are sharp in muscle memory, your target reaction speed, your sight alignment, trigger function, and more. If you own weapons, you know each gun is different. You have to stay sharp with all of them, especially in these times. You can go to itargetpro.com, save 10%, plus get free shipping with the offer code NEWS. Guys, Father's Day is around the corner. You're going to want to check it out today. Don't sleep on this. It is the letter itargetpro.com, offer code NEWS. Parents of transgender children in Texas, or as I like to say, just mentally ill children who need help and counseling, they are suing to stop the state from continuing child abuse investigations. There are at least 9 families, according to the Washington Post, that are being probed by the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services for allowing their transgender children to undergo what they call gender-affirming health care. This lawsuit was filed by Lambda Legal, the ACLU, all of the usual suspects, and they filed it on behalf of 3 of these families. And they request that the court block state investigations of these families in Texas who are supporting their transgender children with medically necessary health care. I love how they are constantly using language in such a way that it's very subtle, but it's just so invasive and like, oh, this is medically necessary. And, you know, how Joe Biden is, you know, constantly talking about when they talk about oil and gas and things of that nature. It's just this, when he talks about the Second Amendment was not absolute. It's like they're using these words and they're just kind of placing them there, even though, you know, it's not actually true, that it's not medically necessary. But if they say it enough times, people will believe it. And I think that for the most part, they're correct in that. We'll see what happens with this particular lawsuit. But I mean, I was actually for once proud to say that our governor is standing up and doing something.
Yeah, look, there was a release this morning that said he's weighing, he's not sure that DeSantis is not going to follow through.
DeSantis, but not in Texas.
But in Texas, yeah. And this is where I want an Abbott and a Patrick and a Paxton to double down and say, we're going to make a statement. Now, Ken Paxton historically with us has fought for children like crazy. So has Angela, his wife. This is a moment to actually go after the parents. You know that's my position. Yes, we can go after the drag queens and they're going to do what they do. And absolutely, it's an abomination to fly that flag. It's the same height as the U.S. flag. Frankly, it's illegal.
We should fly it a little higher, but that's my opinion. Go ahead, sir. It's my favorite flag. I'm teasing. Go ahead.
He likes colors.
I'm just teasing. Go ahead. Sorry. Lost your train of thought.
Yeah.
I'm just trolling.
But the parents that subjected children to this, it's absolute child abuse. And it's because those parents were sexually compromised. We know 1 in 2 transgender individuals were sexually compromised as a child. Hurt people. So we have to step in and defend the kids.
Yeah.
So yes, I say, come on, CPS, for once do the right thing, because you're so complicit, CPS, in child abuse as it is, okay? And they are in the foster system. So this time around, go after the parents that take their kids to these drag shows, because people that say it's innocent, it's just a show. No, you don't understand. Sex is a weapon, and it's imprinting. That child gets exposed to something, it never leaves your brain, ever. And it alters the way the child looks at men, women, love, how he will treat a woman one day. It absolutely is grooming. No question about it.
I want to just make this quick point, because Bill Maher, I talk about this point all the time. I don't like his politics, but he said such a great point. The amount of kids that are on gender reassignment hormones or gender reassignment surgery in Los Angeles compared to Cleveland, Ohio is like 10,000% more. Why? Because that's the parents making that decision.
Absolutely.
In the social media age where parents can actually get literal digital clout for showing the transition of their child. We live in a sick world where the parents are doing this.
But that's the definition of abuse.
Yeah, I agree.
When you use a human being and abuse a human being for another means to your own gain, you're abusing that human being.
I love that people frequently on the left try to say, well, you guys just fought for parental rights to, be able to have your kids not to wear masks in schools. Where are you on parental rights for this? It's a parent's right. It's like, no, it's not a parent's right to abuse their children.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah, like yes,
Munchausen by
we're all
proxy.
for parental
Yeah.
rights,
Yeah.
but like who believes that parental rights supersedes child abuse?
The parental right to take the mask off the child's face was the parent's right to give the child freedom to breathe. For crying out loud.
Right.
It was giving the
It
child
was taking
freedom.
the abuse away
Yes,
from all of the
100%.
offending parties. Yeah.
It was against abuse
I know.
and against indoctrination, but they'll spin it like a top, like any way they want to, because they're sick, twisted, demented human beings that chose the Prince of Darkness over the Prince of Light. That's what it boils down to.
And I just want to make this last point. My buddy Cassidy, Cassidy Campbell, he declined, the vaccinations, and they sent CPS to his house to do a welfare check.
Of course.
They
Of
do
course.
that.
Yeah,
They
of
do
course.
that if you are in the hospital, if you
But every
give
vaccine
birth
is safe
in
and
the
effective.
hospital.
They're the best thing ever. Even though
You can't
selfish isn't,
correct
but
your
every
child
vaccine
in a
is.
Kroger today without somebody, and CPS will show up.
Yeah.
Right? But you can take your child to a drag show where some sick, mentally ill, hurt person that needs help, and look, we love them all, is going to indoctrinate your child? No, sorry.
Speaking of sick and mentally ill,
You're talking about me?
Postmates, and yes, you too. But
Oh, this is terrible.
Postmates, it's so gross. Have you seen this, Yaku?
It's the grossest commercial
it's
I've ever
so
seen in my
gross.
life.
Okay,
I've never
Postmates.
seen this commercial.
Are you
so
about to
bring
play the
it.
commercial?
Yeah,
Are we gonna play
yeah.
Okay,
Do
let
not.
me see.
This,
This
I
is
don't
Look at
want
that
to
reaction.
No, wait, we're going
Steven.
crazy. We have to go off the rails. I've seen everything. I was just at a kids drag show. The kids drag show is worse, but this commercial
You haven't
is
seen everything yet.
I know, but this is the worst commercial of marketing, blogging, blah blah. Because these marketers, they sit in a room of 10 people and they decide this commercial. This
Focus
is
groups.
This is the worst crap I've ever seen in my life. And if you can be a bottom all you want, but this commercial is insane. Go ahead.
Okay, so Postmates, tweeted, this is a
seen this.
company that delivers food, I guess.
Okay.
They tweeted, "You shouldn't miss a good meal for a good time. That's why this Pride, we've teamed up with Dr. Evan Goldstein and SmartThrop to create the world's first bottom-friendly menu." Yay! All right, no little eyes watching this. Watch.
What are you eating this Pride? Well, if you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve? Not this Pride. Introducing the bottom-friendly menu from Postmates. We teamed up with Dr. Evan Goldstein from Bespoke Surgical to bring you a menu of bottom-friendly foods backed by science. Insoluble fiber won't help you feel cute, so avoid things like whole grains, wheat bran, cauliflower, potatoes, legumes. Hold up, are you just fully diving into those beans? The problem with these foods is they don't dissolve in water, which could cause a traffic jam in your digestive system, making
let's
a
talk
mess
about
of
it. I
your
want to talk
evening.
about this.
Speaking
I
of
wanna expose
messy,
these-
it's a good idea to avoid dairy.
Look at this.
handle
This is
lactose right
the
now.
food
Look
that'll
at
make
it.
anal sex better. Wow.
Yeah. So now let's tie this in real quick. So when you go to the book, It's Perfectly Normal right now to 10-year-olds, or you go to What's Happening with My Body for Boys, all parents listen, What's Happening to My Body for Girls, Lawn Boy, Whose Body Is It? All these books that are currently in your school, the common denominator, other than it's porn, through every book is anal sex. It's the common denominator in every single child curriculum book in comprehensive sex ed is anal sex. To the point now, in over 25 states in the country, they're teaching 10-year-old boys how to administer an anal sex condom. Okay? Because sodomy and anal sex is what made Rome fall. And they understand when you take a child to that level, the train has left the station. So yes, now we have food groups that is good for you to clean your bowels so you don't have a mess when a child is now going to create anal sex. This is where we are as a culture. We are in fact Sodom and Gomorrah. By God's grace are we still alive only. This is a fire alarm, and sorry, I've got to, and if this hits you, brother, I don't know. If you watch porn, you're part of the problem.
Maybe a little bit.
Alex, you're a good guy. Come on. If you watch porn, you're part of
You
the
didn't
problem.
have to answer.
No, I'm just saying, come on. We have to absolutely right now halt. Yes, the drag shows are bad, but Alex, come with us. We had a rescue 5 minutes before this show. It gets worse. This is how you feed a society this crap.
Well, no, and I talk about this all the time. When I was a kid, we had a Playboy magazine we'd share like every weekend, and now a kid can look on their phone or iPad and they can see endless amounts of free pornography. So that's done on purpose. But I think the most alarming part of this commercial is that it was done in a cartoon nature, stop animation.
For kids.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this is appeal to young people, and it's not, they're going to say, oh, well, it's done in a tongue-in-cheek fashion for humor. But that was done in a way to indoctrinate children. into teaching them subconsciously, oh, well, if I do anal sex, maybe I should eat this food.
That's 100% the purpose
That's
of
what I'm
that
saying.
commercial.
So it's just, this is, and like I said, these are think tanks that are making the decision to make this commercial. This wasn't just one guy being like, oh, I'm going to do this. This is a group of people coming together, and they're just rubbing their hands together. Oh, this is so great. This is going to be so good. This is going to go viral. Because I think they purposely make it a little offensive to trigger people like myself or like you. So they were like, share this, look at this, look at these crazy people.
It makes
Because
it
they
go
wanna-
viral.
Yes,
You
that's
know
how they make it
what?
go viral.
That's fine because all of the people that I saw that were sharing it were showing that they had deleted the app, which
Yeah.
I highly encourage all of
Yes.
you. If you have the Postmates app, please delete it and use another app. There are a lot of them out there. And again, we talk a lot about it. We talk a lot about changing it. It's not going to change until we stop partnering with these companies that are shoving it in your faces and indoctrinating your children. All right, we got to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Policy Genius. So it's kind of a downer to talk about life insurance because they're like, I don't want to talk about like what happens when I die. I don't want to think about dying. But the problem is that you really need to make sure that you have life insurance for the people who depend on you, whether it be children, parents, business partners, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you have it. And Policy Genius is your one-stop shop to find the insurance you need at the right price. I use Policy Genius. It's very, very, very easy. In minutes, you'll be able to compare personalized quotes from top companies to find your lowest price. You can save 50% or more on life insurance policies by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. You're not paying any extra fees, by the way. They're not selling your information to third parties. They have thousands of 5-star reviews across Google and Trustpilot, and you can get whatever amount you need. Do it with Policy Genius. They make it very, very easy. Like I said, I use them. They help me out every year, make sure that I am renewed and taken care of, and I know that my family will not be in a bind if, God forbid, anything happened to me. You can go to policygenius.com/news to get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save. Just go there. It is policygenius.com/news. Newsflash, guys, listen up. It's going to be difficult to get through this one without being extremely sarcastic. People aged under 40 are being urged to have their hearts checked because they may potentially be at risk of sudden adult death syndrome. You don't get it confused. Yes, you may be thinking of SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. This is actually SADS, sudden adult death syndrome. And this has been fatal for all kinds of people, regardless of whether they maintain a fit and healthy lifestyle. And
I believe if they're more healthy, they're actually more likely to get SADS, is what I read.
Did you read
Yeah,
that?
I think I read that as well.
Well, they are talking with this particular issue. They are talking about cardiac arrest. They suddenly have their heart stop, and there is one doctor who is in Australia who says on this particular issue that the best advice would be if you yourself have had a first-degree relative, a parent, sibling, child who's had an unexplained death, it's extremely recommended that you see a cardiologist. So we're having heart issues.
You know what gives us heart issues? Joe Biden. You know
Well-
what's the number one threat to cardiac arrest? This administration.
I'm just saying,
That's it.
it's very interesting. There's an uptick. Healthy young people are dying suddenly and unexpectedly from
They
a
took a
mysterious
jab.
syndrome.
No,
Took a bit
nobody
of a
took a
jab.
jab.
I
Nobody
don't
took a
know.
jab. The vaccine is safe and effective. And then you look at SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, and that skyrocketed when the vaccine schedule got the way it is. So that has no correlation. Correlation
No.
does not mean causation.
Thank
This has
you.
nothing to do.
Miscarriages,
This has nothing to do with the
everything.
vaccine. This is just random, and people are stressed out because they got bills to pay and inflation. So that's why healthy people, after they run a marathon, all 14 people had the same medicine and they all collapsed or they all had issues running a
Have you
marathon.
seen how
all
many,
healthy people.
Have you seen how many professional soccer players
Oh, they're
around
all-
the
they're
world
falling over,
died
yeah.
on the field?
Like
Unprecedented.
flies.
It never happened before.
Yeah.
Well-
but COVID was good. The vaccines is really good.
It's
It's
safe and
amazing.
effective, yes.
It's beautiful.
I hear that the more you get them, the better off you are. I mean, it helps you in life.
Yeah, it is.
You get a promotion. You
get to travel.
Yeah, you don't get fat. It's just a.
This has got nothing to do with a eugenics program, like a global eugenics program.
And this is
the CD. Yaku,
They wouldn't do that,
Please,
right?
the CDC says these are safe and effective for
Bill
everyone.
Gates loves.
In fact,
Bill
especially
Gates loves
children.
people.
Yes.
Especially
Gates
children.
loves people.
And if you notice, like when you see the soccer players and then you see the people that have died of SADS, right? It's not 300-pound people. It's not like 280-pound people. These are like healthy individuals. One girl, I think she was 21 years old. She died in her bedroom while her roommates were still in the house and they heard a loud noise. They didn't even know what it was. So obviously there's externalities that are causing this, but there's an elephant in the room that we are not allowed to talk about. Nobody is allowed to talk about it. The legacy media cannot talk about it. So what they have to do is they have to say, oh, well, there's this new thing called SAD, sudden adult death syndrome. And the fact is, it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning. Everybody's too stupid to know what's really going on.
Alex, you're on the Blaze. We can talk about it.
I know, but I'm saying we're on YouTube too,
Yeah,
so we can only say so much. We're only and listen. I think anybody with half a brain will know what we're talking about. But there's a correlation of SADS, a new disease that comes out where people are dying of myocarditis, and we know something causes myocarditis, but you don't hear anybody talk about it. That's the biggest thing. The cover-up is worse than the crime, in my opinion.
Isn't it interesting, too, whenever they started talking about these cases of myocarditis, specifically in young men, they kept trying to downplay it by saying, like, oh, well, it's just mild. It's like, I don't think if your heart is inflamed that's like mild.
No,
I would say that you
that's
kind
critical.
of need your heart to
Critical.
like live.
Yeah.
So
People,
I don't
well, you
think
depend
that's
on
the
your
case.
heart from every single second, from inside the womb until the day you die. It's such a fragile thing inside of our chest.
All your subconscious systems, right? Your lungs, your heart, all the things that happen without you thinking about it, which are critical, which is why your body will shut all else down to keep the heart, the brain, the lungs going. Even to shut down organs, but no, it's a mild issue. It's just like the fire behind the protest. It's
Yeah.
it's peaceful. You're in good condition. You're carrying about 4 pounds of water around your heart, but it's no problem. It's all good.
I just wish that I wonder if they're even keeping track of when this happens, their vaccination status.
The correlation, no, I know, intention, no. You got states like Michigan, Chicago, Illinois right now that's telling doctors not to report. Right now there's a bill in Illinois, if there's a black death particularly, because they know, if it's a black death in a woman who had who chose to take some sort of a remedy through the form of a needle during a particular period when the world was shut down, right? To not report the correlation. Intentionally. By law,
No.
telling doctors not to report.
You can look at VAERS, and the numbers are astonishing, and that's just a small piece of the pie.
Yeah, there was a Harvard study that came out that said that really only 1% of adverse reactions are reported on VAERS. But then they tell you, well, you can't trust VAERS because you can self-report on there. Okay, well, give us something that we can use to have reports logged. That's the only one that we have. It's the only accountability that we have that's possible to look at. Why can we not use it?
And I just want to make this one little quick point. And they say when you get the myocarditis in a young person, the only thing to do is rest. But they don't talk about the scar tissue in the heart that has long-lasting effects. So they just sweep this under the rug, and it's a big, serious issue that is going to cause, like you said, just eugenics or whatever you want to call it. But it's not going in the right direction. We're trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah. All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back.
We got a 1.64 birth rate in America right now. When you go under 2.5%, you lose society.
Author and prominent critical race theory advocate Ibram X Kendi wrote an extensive essay on his daughter's attachment to a white doll in a piece published this week in The Atlantic. He worried that this blue-eyed white doll that his 1-year-old daughter had she'd be breathing in a smog of white superiority. So he took it away. She cried and she threw tantrums. And he said, no, you will not be breathing in that smog of white superiority, ma'am. Are we too far gone? Are we just?
I mean, yeah, we are probably too far gone. But when you look at these dolls, I actually kind of like that he's getting triggered by it because now they have like the autistic Barbie. I think they have like the wheelchair Barbie, which I'm not even saying that's necessarily a bad thing. But it's like we look at all these stupid little, insignificant things, and we make them the biggest problem when there's so many more issues. Like he needs to have a better relationship with his daughter if he's really worried about some doll is going to indoctrinate her to not have enough white hate. You know what I mean? It just seems like, it's just ridiculous.
Alex, you'll see, and Sarah will attest to this, kids don't remember toys, they remember time.
Yeah.
They remember how much time you spent with them, what you did. They don't remember toys. Just go buy an expensive toy for your child one day and watch them rip it to pieces and you go, we're not doing that again. It doesn't matter. This whole thing is them pushing this narrative of just, heck, it could be, we've seen this. It could be don't bake with white flour, for crying out loud. It could be anything. It's just anything to punch. That's, again, parental abuse. That's abuse. That person is bringing something into the child's mind that the child's not even cognizant of.
Who's the racist? The call is coming from inside the house. It's you guys.